Hey teacher friends, welcome to Sutton Teaches Secondary. My name is Miss Sutton, but you can call me MarQuitta. I am so glad that you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do not want you to miss out on all of the fun things, wonderful things that I'm sharing. I'm always there was a fly. I'm always dropping gems. We have a good time around here. Make sure you do so. I don't want you to miss out. So I'm talking to you, I'm coming to you because, you know, as I try new things in my classroom or as I'm doing something new, I always like to share. Or not even new, but just like switching it up, a little something, all that good stuff. So let me tell you, it's been a couple of years since I've taught Shakespeare. I put it on hiatus in my AP literature class because I was tired of teaching it. I'll tell you now, I am not always the greatest fan of teaching Shakespeare. Sometimes I just feel like it's overrated. And I know that is like the terrible thing to say as an English teacher, but you know, the truth is the truth. But one thing I will say is if I'm going to teach Shakespeare, it's going to be something that I actually enjoy. So there are very few plays that I really enjoy teaching. I enjoy teaching Romeo and Juliet to freshmen. That's always really fun. And I enjoy teaching Othello because it's the one Shakespeare play with a black man in it. So I'm going to tell you some things that I've been doing to make teaching Othello easier, fun, more relevant to students, all of those things, to make teaching Shakespeare just enjoyable in general. So here we go. And bear with me because, you know, I always have my little famous sticky note or my notes somewhere helping me out. Okay. So the first thing I always say, if you are not a fan of teaching Shakespeare, if this is your first time approaching Shakespeare, all of those kind of things, if you're a little nervous about teaching in the classroom, or you're approaching a new play, like you've never taught Hamlet, now you're teaching Hamlet, whatever the case, I always say, teach a play that you love. So if you've never read the play, but you're about to teach it, find a version of it that you can love, like a movie version of it that you're like, oh, I love this version, right? Because there's so many versions of Shakespearean plays that are now movies. Or a play version that you enjoy watching. If you get to choose the one that you did the best with in school, choose the one you remember the most, right? Like, make it accessible for you first, because ultimately you have to be the master of it before you can teach it. Which is why I teach Othello. I never read Othello in school, but it's one that I grew to love in college. I know it, I enjoy it. Romeo and Juliet was one that I actually knew from school and enjoyed. But you know, like, choose something that you actually love, because you want to feel good about teaching it. The worst feeling, I'm going to tell you this. The worst feeling is being in the middle of teaching something like a novel or a play, and you are just like, I hate this. But because you're the teacher, you're the person in front of everyone, you can't be like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm tired of this. And you can't just quit in the middle, because it's such a bad thing to show to students, to like abandon ship. So you want to find something that you're going to enjoy. You don't want to abandon ship. The next thing I want you to think about, it is a play. It is meant to be enjoyed as a play. Shakespeare meant for us to enjoy this by actually listening to it and watching it and hearing the words, enjoying the iambic pentameter, all of the things. So you need to find a movie version of this, whether it's like a more modern adaptation, whether it's a video version of the play. If you can go watch the play live, like if it aligns with when your neighborhood is doing Shakespeare in the park or something, you want students to actually watch it. You want to watch it. That is not a bad thing. If somebody at your school complains, somebody who's observing you, you explain that to them. This is meant to be observed, or this is meant to be watched. Students need to see it in its authentic form in order for you to really enjoy it. Now, me personally, when I teach Othello, I like watching the version with Lawrence Fishburne. All of the other versions are older, or the ones that I've seen are older. They usually have some white man in blackface. It's really terrible and it's jarring to watch. I'm not doing that to myself or my students. No. And the Lawrence Fishburne one is good. It's really, really good. I purchased it years ago on YouTube. I'm sure you can purchase it on lots of different streaming services. I highly suggest. Certain things, I'm gonna tell you a little secret too. Certain books that I teach that I know that there's a video version of, I buy the DVD version, and I always have a DVD player stored somewhere, because you never know when streaming is not going to work for some reason, or when they're going to take something off of a platform that you already had, and then you don't want to be stuck trying to find it again. So also, teacher tip, when you are teaching novels and you like it, you enjoy teaching it, buy a DVD version of the film. Don't say I didn't tell you. When you wake up one day and you open up your Netflix and something's missing, don't say I didn't tell you. Now, my third suggestion for you is to not teach the abridged version. I do not believe in like the what is it, like the Shakespeare for not Shakespeare for dummies, but what is it, they have like the adapted version where it's like put in modern language, or the where like certain parts of it are cut out. If you're teaching it from a textbook and the textbook only has certain excerpts from it, that's different, because truth be told, when I teach Othello, we don't read every single page from every single act. We start off really strong and then I start to taper off and we read chunks. But I'm telling you, you want to read the most authentic version possible. Now, I'll show you the one that my school, hold on. So the one that my school has that we're using this year is like a really thick one. This is like super thick, and I was nervous. I was like, wait, why is this so thick? Because the one I've used in the past was literally just the play. This one has a whole foreword and like introduction and all kinds of stuff, and like introduces the characters, all kinds of things. It's a lot, whatever. But the thing I like about versions like this, it's the authentic play, it's the real words, all that kind of stuff. But for example, on one side, it defines all the words and phrases and things that may like be foreign to students to help them. And then on this side, it's the actual play. And it's like that on every page. Like, it never changes. This side is like the breakdown of the words and things that might be difficult. This side is the play with the lines. Let's see if you can see a little bit closer. See, like it breaks it down on this side and then it's the lines on this side. I like this so much. One, because the whole point of reading Shakespeare is to experience the Old English. So if you do like the newer version or whatever, to me, then I'd rather just show them the movie and then we learn about like the actual story itself and then go over theme, and like if I'm trying to hit on different standards, and then that's the case. If I'm doing this like abridged version, or like you know, like this where it's kind of cutting off some of the language or making it more modern, quote unquote, to me, it defeats the purpose. If I'm going to do that and read something more modern language, I'm going to read a completely different story altogether. If we're reading Shakespeare, it's because I want them to learn how to decode, how to make sense of Old English and this language and how things were written and things like that. Like, that is the major skill. So you want to give them tools that will help. You definitely want to take your time, all that kind of stuff. But what we're not going to do is like water it down so much or change it completely so that students are just getting the story. Because if they're just getting the story, then I'm going to teach a different story that I like more. There's a jillion books and novels I could teach that are written in modern language that are so much more fun to teach. You know what I mean? Okay. In that same vein, to help students with getting comfortable with the language, I also suggest teaching some sonnets, because I think sonnets are really accessible. Like, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? I love using that one as something to introduce students to, I forget what sonnet number that is, but if students need to be introduced to Shakespearean language, starting with sonnets is really nice, right? Because it's easy. You learn about how Shakespeare uses meter and things like that, and then the stress on different words and language, but it's not overwhelming. So that's why I like using sonnets, like chef's kiss. Ooh, ooh. And then in that same vein, something else I like to do, I don't know what number we're on. I think we're on number 6 maybe. Is this 5 or 6? 6. We're gonna call it 6. I may not teach a more modern version of the play, but I do use modern references to help students understand, because that helps them make those references. So I'll tell you. So for example, yesterday, before we started reading, I wanted students to get comfortable and truly understand how to appreciate Shakespearean language. What I've noticed in the past when I'm teaching Shakespeare is that students really do not appreciate why he wrote things in the manner that he did, because it's just so hard to access. Same thing even when I teach a book like Their Eyes Are Watching God. Even though I may explain to them that Zora Neale Hurston is this beautiful linguist and sociologist and like went and studied languages and all that kind of stuff and really made sure to embed it in her student, it's like, whew, like, I can't read it. That's like what you get, right? Like, this don't make no sense. Thou, are thee, they, this is dumb. So I like to use modern references to help students get it. So the one that I love the best, and this reference randomly came up in my head one year when I was teaching, and then now it's like actually become a staple. So the Cardi B song, I Like It, right? When I first listened to this song and she says, I like texts from my exes when they want a second chance, it made me laugh so much, right? Because she's using the word texts or text messages, one of the two, and like completely changes the word. It's not a real word. We don't care. We still sing the song. I'm an English teacher and I like texts too now at this point. Not for the state, but for the text messages, right? But it's a really great example of how we change language, how we use, and then even in the first set of lyrics, she's using she's using words, but it's like abbreviated versions of the words. She may say some words elongated, other words, the emphasis is on the back, right? Like, it's a good conversation to have around, like, where is the emphasis being placed on words? Why? Why does she change the way a word is pronounced? Because it makes sense for the beat of the song, right? And then this song just really works. And it's no shade to Cardi, but the song itself is just, the beat is really, it's not a complicated beat. The rap itself is not complicated, right? Like, you can hear all the words. It's boom, 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 boom. So it's easy for students to hear and to have that kind of conversation. And so then if students can appreciate that modern people that are famous do the same thing. Why? Because the song is meant to be listened to and enjoyed. Then we can kind of relate that to Shakespeare and like make that connection of like, Shakespeare also for his time was a famous person. He was writing so people could listen and enjoy. And so in the same, like, we have to respect it. We may not understand it. It may be hard, but it does help with students' mind shift so that when they're reading, they're not feeling as overwhelmed. They're still going to be a little overwhelmed. It's still going to be a lot. It still takes a bit to kind of like decode and break through, but at least they can start off reading from a place of appreciation versus a place of feeling defeated. So that's all I'm going to share. That was a lot. Ooh, it was a lot. But I feel like so helpful. So tell me in the comments, what Shakespearean play are you teaching? Are you teaching sonnets? Are you not teaching Shakespeare at all? What else are you teaching instead? What novels are you teaching? Like some modern day stuff that's more enjoyable. Let me know. Don't forget to like. And as always, teacher friend, you are amazing. Okay. Bye. I'll see you next time.